My mother never told me she loved me. Not once, not when I scraped my knee on the playground, not when I graduated high school, not even when I packed my bags and left home forever. For 18 years, I lived in a house that felt less like a home and more like a military barracks. My mother was the drill sergeant and I was the reluctant recruit. She was cold, she was efficient, she was brutally practical. While other mothers were baking cookies and tucking their kids in at night, my mother was teaching me how to change a tire in the pouring rain when I was 8 years old. While other mothers were kissing boo-boos, my mother was handing me a first aid kit and telling me to disinfect the wound myself because crying solves nothing. Well, I hated her. I hated her with a passion that burned hot in my chest. I looked at my friends with their soft, gentle mothers, mothers who hugged them, who called them honey, who made them pancakes, and I felt cheated. I felt like I had been born to a robot, a machine that provided food and shelter but possessed no human warmth. I called her the general. Behind her back, I mocked her stiffness. I mocked her rules. I mocked the way she looked at me with flat, unblinking eyes, as if she were assessing a piece of equipment rather than looking at her own flesh and blood. I spent my childhood waiting for her to crack, waiting for a moment of tenderness, waiting for a smile. It never came. I moved out the morning of my 18th birthday. She didn't cry. She didn't ask me to stay. She just shook my hand, a firm, businesslike handshake, and said, "You are ready. Good luck." I didn't speak to her for 5 years. I built a life. I got married. I had a daughter. I vowed that I would never, ever treat my child the way she treated me. I smothered my daughter in love. I became the parent I never had. Then last week I got the call. My mother had died alone in her kitchen. A sudden aneurysm, quick, painless, efficient, just like her. I went back to the house to settle her affairs. I walked through the empty rooms, feeling a strange mix of anger and hollowness. I expected to feel grief, but how do you grieve someone you never really knew? How do you grieve a roommate who paid the bills? I walked into her bedroom. It was sparse, military neat, no photos on the walls, no knickknacks. But on her desk, sitting squarely in the center, was a large, leather-bound binder. It had a label on the front. The manual for Thomas. I opened it, and as I read the first page, the anger I had carried for 23 years began to dissolve, replaced by a horror and a heartbreak so profound it brought me to my knees. If you have ever felt unloved by a parent, or if you think that tough love is just an excuse for abuse, you need to listen to this story. Please hit that subscribe button right now. I am going to tell you the truth about the general and the secret war she was fighting inside her own head every single day of my life. To understand the binder, you have to understand the training. My childhood was a series of tests. When I was 6, she woke me up at 3 a.m. The fire alarm was blaring, the house was dark. "Get up," she screamed, "the house is on fire, get out." I was terrified, I cried, I ran around in circles. She grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me hard. "Stop crying, think, crawl, check the door handle, go to the window." It wasn't a fire, it was a drill. She ran that drill once a month until I could escape the house in under 2 minutes, blindfolded. When I was 10, she stopped cooking dinner for me. She put a stool in front of the stove. She put a knife on the counter. "You eat what you cook, Thomas," she said. "If you can't feed yourself, you starve." I burned my fingers, I cut myself, I cried over burnt eggs. She sat at the table, reading the newspaper, ignoring my tears. "Figure it out," she said. When I was 12, she made me do the taxes. She put the pile of bills in front of me. She handed me the checkbook. "Balance it," she said. "If we bounce a check, we lose the lights. It is on you." I hated her for this. I was a child. I should have been playing video games. I should have been riding bikes. Instead, I was stressing about the electric bill and learning how to plunge a toilet. I thought she was lazy. I thought she just didn't want to do the work of being a parent. I thought she wanted a servant. Now I stood in her bedroom reading the manual. The binder wasn't just a collection of documents, it was a guide. Tab 1, Finances. Tab 2 Home Repair. Tab 3 Medical Emergencies. Tab 4 Emotional Endurance. But it was the introduction letter that shattered me. It was handwritten. Her handwriting was sharp, jagged, pressing hard into the paper. Hey Thomas, if you are reading this, I am dead, and you are alone. I know you hate me, I made sure of it. You see, son, when you were 2 years old, I was diagnosed with a condition, a brain aneurysm, a ticking time bomb. The doctors told me it could burst at any moment. They said I could die in 10 years or 10 minutes. They said there was no surgery, no cure. I looked at you in your crib. You were so soft, so needy. You cried if I put you down for a second. You clung to me like a koala. I knew that if I loved you the way I wanted to, if I held you and kissed you and made you rely on me, my death would destroy you. If I became your world and then I disappeared, you would break. You would be a soft boy in a hard world, suddenly an orphan with no one to catch you. I couldn't let that happen. I had to make a choice, the hardest choice a mother can make. I had to make you need me, not at all. I had to harden you, I had to teach you to survive without me. I had to make you so independent, so self-sufficient that when I finally died, you wouldn't collapse. You would just check the manual and keep going. I had to sever the cord before it was cut for me. So I stopped hugging you, I stopped comforting you. Every time you fell and cried, I wanted to pick you up. God, I wanted to pick you up. I had to dig my fingernails into my palms until they bled to stop myself from reaching for you. I had to stand there and watch you cry so that you would learn to pick yourself up. Every time I made you cook or clean or fix the car, I was giving you a weapon against the chaos of life. I knew you would hate me, I accepted that. I decided that your survival was more important than your love for me. I would rather be a hated mother to a surviving man than a beloved mother to a broken boy. It was the price I paid. This manual contains everything I couldn't teach you in person. It has the deed to the house, it is paid off. I worked 3 jobs to pay it off so you would never have a mortgage. It has a savings account I built for your children, the grandchildren I knew I would never meet. I am sorry I was cold. I am sorry I was the general. But Thomas, please know this. Every time I walked away from you, I was crying inside. Every time I shook your hand, I was dying to hold you. You were the love of my life, and letting you go was the only way to save you. Be strong, you are ready. Love, Mom. I dropped the binder. I collapsed onto the floor of her pristine, loveless bedroom and I screamed. I screamed for the years we lost. I screamed for the torture she endured. Imagine the strength it takes to suppress your maternal instinct every single day for 18 years. Imagine the willower it takes to watch your child cry for you and force yourself to stand still. She broke her own heart day after day, piece by piece, just to armor mine. She sacrificed the joy of motherhood to ensure the survival of her son. I looked back at the binder, I turned the pages. It was incredible. She had written detailed instructions for everything. Page 45, How to Grieve. I read it. Thomas, you will feel guilty. Don't. You hated me because I taught you to. That was the plan. Do not waste energy on regret. Regret is inefficient. Take a week. Cry, then get back to work. Check the gutters. Change the oil. I laughed through my tears. Even from the grave, she was giving me orders. Page 80, How to Allow Love. Thomas, I taught you to be hard, but you don't have to be hard with everyone. If you find a wife, let her in, let her hold you. You don't have to be a soldier in your own marriage. I took the hit so you could be soft with others, break the cycle. I thought about my own daughter. I thought about how I smothered her with love because I was compensating for my mother's coldness. I realized that my ability to provide for my family, my ability to fix the house, to manage the money, to stay calm in emergencies, all of that came from her training. I was a good father because she was a bad mother. She had designed me, she had engineered me to be the man I was. I looked at the savings account book included in the binder. There was over $300,000. She hadn't spent a dime on herself, she lived like a monk. She channeled every resource into my future. I drove to the cemetery the next day. I stood over her grave. It was a simple marker. She didn't want a funeral. She had written in the manual, "Do not waste money on a casket. Cremate me, scatter me, move on." But I bought her a headstone anyway. I stood there and I talked to her. "Mom," I said, "I read the manual. I touched the cold stone. You win, General. I survived. I am okay." And I paused. "But you were wrong about one thing. You didn't have to make me hate you. I would have been okay even if you hugged me. We could have faced the scary thing together." But then I stopped. Would I have been okay? If she had been the soft, cuddling mother I wanted, and then she dropped dead when I was 23, would I be the man I am or would I be lost? As I don't know. But I know this: she did what she thought was necessary. She loved me with a ferocity that terrifies me. She loved me enough to let me despise her. I am sharing this story because we live in a world of soft parenting. We live in a world where we are told that validation is everything. But sometimes love looks like a fortress. Sometimes love looks like a drill sergeant. If you have a parent who is hard on you, if you have a parent who pushes you, if you have a parent who seems distant, don't assume they don't love you. Look at what they are teaching you. Look at the tools they are putting in your hands. They might be preparing you for a world they know they won't be around to see. My mother made me a soldier, and because of her I can fight any battle. But I am going to go home and hug my daughter. I am going to hug her so tight. And I am going to tell her about her grandmother. I am going to tell her that her grandmother was the toughest woman who ever walked the earth. And I am going to keep the manual. I am going to put it on my bookshelf. And whenever I don't know what to do, whenever I feel weak, I will open it. And I will hear her voice. Get up, Thomas, crawl, find the door, survive. If this story broke you open, please share it. Share it for the parents who make the hard choices. Share it for the sons who finally understand. And in the comments, tell me, is there a lesson your parents taught you that you hated at the time but saved you later? Let's honor the tough love. Hit subscribe. We tell the truth here, even when the truth is cold. At ease, Mom. Mission accomplished.